Hello, I'm Denise Scaloni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. My guest today is Christine Furman. She's a dedicated wife, homeschool mom, podcast host, and educator with over 20 years experience in elementary and special education. Teaching is her passion and has led her to provide advice and hands-on education for families around the world. Her mission? Empower parents to raise kind, confident, and independent kids while building community and connection through EduPlay Learning Academy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
It's gonna be better. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be better. Yeah. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
My guest today is Christine Furman. She's a dedicated wife, homeschool mom, podcast host, and educator with over 20 years experience in elementary and special education. Teaching is her passion and has led her to provide advice and hands-on education for families around the world. She's the host of Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast. She provides families with encouragement, inspiration, and connection while equipping them to effectively educate their kids in a fun and meaningful way. As a CEO of Momspirational 412 worldwide and founder of EduPlay Learning, she has grown a loyal following by being an expert contributor through radio, 100.7 Star, various podcasts, TV shows, CBS Pittsburgh, Thriving Women Network, international stages, magazines, The Platform Magazine, Inspiring Lives Magazine, Six Figure Women Coaches Magazine, and family-oriented events. Her mission? To empower parents to raise kind, confident, and independent kids while building community and connection through the EduPlay Learning Academy. Welcome, Christine.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, we have so much to talk about here. I'm so excited that you're here today.
I am excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's first, 20 years experience in elementary and special education.
Yep. So I have an elementary degree in from Robert Morris, and then I went back for my special education degree. But when I started thinking about it, I have been doing education since I was in high school. And I've always been working in daycares and babysitting, and my experience just continued to grow. And I just love, love, love interacting with kiddos and educating them.
Yeah, you love children. I mean,
I do.
You love children.
I'm like, so I have been called the neighborhood mom, which I love,
Okay.
and the baby whisperer, which I love because like if a baby's crying, like I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna be like, oh, it's okay. And like I will like hold little babies and they're like, this child doesn't go to anyone. And I'm like, well.
Your
So
whole aura.
yes, so I do. I love kids.
So you were an educator. When did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
So it was when I was having my kids. I wanted to be able to teach and be able to be home with my kids. So as a teacher, that's really not necessarily a possibility,
Right.
And actually, Dr. Shelley Hipsky, which I know
I did
she
it very well.
actually, yes, she inspired me and she said, you can teach outside the four walls. And I was like, oh, okay. So, it took a little bit of time to kind of get the ideas rolling,
Right.
but it really was a leap of faith to be able to step out of the public school system and be able to be home with my kids full time. And I started doing live events with families. So my original thought was I want families to get that time. I want moms to be able to have some time to connect with other moms
Yeah.
while I would be educating and entertaining their kids. So it's giving me the opportunity to educate families and kids while having my kids at the events with me.
Right.
And we definitely had some interesting moments, as a
I'm
mom.
sure.
I had my own kids, so a lot of times they wanted to be with me, but ultimately it was the best experience. And I introduced moms that were living in the same neighborhoods and didn't even know it. I
Right.
connected kids, of all ages and different abilities. And it really just was such a passion for me. And it still is. I still do live events and I just love the connection for the moms, for the kids. I love getting connected with the moms. So, yes, that is where it all started.
And I know you homeschool, don't you?
Yep.
So you were homeschooling before the pandemic when kids were even home, right?
Kind of, yes. So my daughter was in preschool. So she was in preschool when it happened, and everything kind of shut down while she was in preschool. And the schools were scrambling to figure out how are we educating the kids. But the
Sure.
preschools, there wasn't a lot of resources for that age or even younger, right?
Yeah, right.
So at that point, that's when families started turning to me and saying, what do we do with our kids? So I was already running those live events where I was like interacting and educating, toddlers and babies. And it was like, okay, what do we do now? So during the pandemic, I went live in my Facebook group every single morning at 9 a.m. and I did calendar with the families. We did movement activities. I read a story with them. I gave them a craft. So it was really giving families some normalcy into their day and saying, what can I do with my kids to continue to educate them? So that's when everything really started to turn worldwide
Sure.
because I had a lot of families coming in to the community that way.
You were almost giving them a curriculum, daily curriculum. This is what you're going
Yes.
to do today.
Yes.
And I'm sure that parents were scrambling, like, what do we do?
Yes, they were. They were like, how do we entertain our kids? And a lot of the curriculum that I have, it's very easy to include our kids in our day. And one of the reasons I got on 100.7 Star, the radio, and I was doing a segment for a few months actually with them.
Wow.
And I had a video of my kids helping me wash the kitchen floor. So I had water and Dawn dishwashing soap and I just put it in a bucket with some bubbles. I mean, they were loving the bubbles. They were
Sure.
toddlers and they are ice skating and they're
Wow.
washing the floor and they're swimming, They were just having such a great time. And it was like, we can do our tasks as moms with our kids, and we can make it fun for them.
And I think that's a struggle too, even with remote learning a lot. Moms
Hmm.
are wondering, like, how do I get my stuff done? Because I need to sit here and make sure they're doing their stuff. And I'm sure that was such a struggle for them. So it's
Yes.
amazing. You were just set up right there.
Yes. And we just did it. We just were making it happen. And it is a struggle. There are times when maybe our kids are more needy and they need our attention. And there are times when our jobs or our careers or our business needs more of our attention. And
Right.
it's all about that balance of like, well, when am I blocking my time out for my kids? And when am I blocking my time out for my business? And sometimes, like this Friday, I talked to one of my clients and she's like, I had to handle a lot of business tasks and I didn't get to too much schooling. And I was like, that's okay though, because sometimes we have to take care of the kids and we have to educate them, and entertain them a longer period of time. And then sometimes we have to take care of business tasks.
Right. And you brought up a great point, Christine, because people may look at you and say, "Oh, well, you're home every day." But you're an entrepreneur. You have a lot going on. You're not a stay-at-home mom that just spends the day, playing with your children and educating them. You have a
Yep.
lot going on. You have your business. You
Mhm.
have a podcast that we'll talk about in a little while. So there's a lot going on. So you're a businesswoman as well.
Yes, yes. And thank you so much for even bringing that up because you're right. Like people think, "Oh, you're home all day." What do you do all day? I do a
Right.
lot. My day is packed from morning to night. And it's actually very funny. I was thinking about this morning, right? You make appointments with moms, and a lot of times it's early in the morning because the kids
Oh,
aren't up.
right.
It's in the afternoon when they're napping or they kind of need a chill time,
Or at
or it
night.
could be in the evening, after they go to bed. So it's funny how, our schedules just change. But the best part of being an entrepreneur, being a mom, you can make those adaptations to your schedule and say, you know what, this is when I'm available. And of course, there's exceptions, sometimes, but I get on the call at 6 a.m. in the morning and they're like, you take early calls. And I was like, I have no interruptions at that time.
Right.
So I can
What
be on
best
the
for
phone
you?
from 6 to 7 and no one's waking up.
Right. And that's great because a lot of times, especially if moms have to go to work, they have to leave the house. I mean, they can't do it during the day, so that's perfect for them. In the morning, after dinner, when the kids are in bed.
Hmm. Yep.
So, Christine, let me ask you, what is EduPlay Learning Academy?
So EduPlay Learning is like my third baby. I have two babies. Well, they're not babies anymore. I have Ella and I have Alex. And EduPlay Learning is the curriculum that I have been developing since they were babies. And, people have said that, like, oh, this is like your baby. And I was like, you know what? It really is. I have put a lot of time, energy, happy moments, tears, excitement, frustration. I've put everything into this curriculum that I've created. And I am very proud of it. I am so excited to share it with so many families because it is a multisensory approach that makes learning fun, meaningful, and individualized. So, with my background in special education and working with children with all different abilities, I
Right.
was doing this actually in the classroom where I would take a topic and I would allow that one specific topic, it could be addition, and how could I um, teach that topic and that skill to those kids of all different abilities? So I
Mhm.
started doing this with my curriculum being a multisensory approach, allowing kids to learn through movement, allowing them to learn through music, through art, through getting in the kitchen and cooking, and really taking these skills and allowing them to learn them in many different ways. So we could be counting while we're singing and jumping. We could be counting while we're in the kitchen. We could be counting while we're walking down the steps and counting the steps. And it just continues to evolve as the kids continue to grow and learn new skills. Now instead of counting by ones, maybe we count by twos,
Mhm.
or we talk about even and odd numbers, and reading, we have reading that's all around us. We
Sure.
have the letters and learning. And I remember whenever they were younger, we would do a letter find at restaurants. So
Okay.
instead of giving them tablets or my phone, I would say, okay, let's find the letters that we're working on, or let's find the letters in alphabetical order, and really giving them that opportunity to see that learning is really all around us and allowing them to have fun with it.
That's amazing, Christine. And I think too, you're instilling in them that learning is all around us. You can
Mhm.
always learn and to keep learning. And you talked about in the kitchen. I remember that when I was younger, my mother, I was always in the kitchen with her. If she was making something or baking something, I had my little dough there. I was doing the same thing.
Yep.
But then later on, when she had to work, and then my sister came, she didn't have time for that. And a lot of times, mothers don't have time.
Mhm.
It's a whole different world than it was back then.
It's so true.
So, how do mothers find time to do these things? I know
So
they're probably thinking, well, that's great in theory, but I have this job, I'm out of the house. And how do they find time to do these things?
and sometimes it's just those little tiny pockets of time. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a big project. One of the activities that is coming to my mind is like we make a reindeer out of cookies. And with just like Nutter Butters and pretzels and red M&Ms, nothing healthy in those cookies, but
Okay.
They
Okay.
they
It's
are
learning.
fun. Right, exactly. It's all about fun, right? And it's about the
Right.
balance. But something like that I would include a recipe and a video for, allowing the families to be like, "Hey, we're gonna get these recipes from the store," allowing the kids to see what we have to buy them, kind of taking our kids through the whole process,
You're teaching life
and
skills too, a little bit.
yes, absolutely. So that actually is called my Teaching Moments curriculum.
Nice.
So, teaching moments is all about those life skills, getting them into the kitchen and how to make things from scratch, or how to even just have fun with cooking, or how to do their laundry, or talking about finances at a young age. So, yes, we incorporate all of those life skills as well into the academy as part of the teaching moments. So, what we do is we have different programs like reading fundamentals, learn your letters, math all around us. And then what I also have are these activity kits that are made of different collections. So for January, we talk about snow, we talk about snowmen, we talk about ice skating, hot chocolate, just different things that just are for that season. And it allows the kids to be able to have a story that goes with that, activities, reading activities, math activities. So lots of fun activities that are included in that activity kit.
So, what ages are we talking about?
So right now, we're in the development process. It's the 2 to 7 age range.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
as I continue to grow, because as my kids continue to grow and the curriculum grows, it's going to continue to develop. So, yes, right now it's that 2 to 7, but it will continue to grow.
Okay. And I would assume, I don't have any children, but I would assume that's a hard age to get have kids stay involved with something from 2 to 7, have them, engaged.
Yeah, it can be, but so what I also include are videos and the supplies. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of what the parents have to do. They're not thinking about the activities that they have to come up with. They don't have to run to the store and get the supplies, print the papers. It all comes right there. And then I record videos a lot of times with my kids, which I love. And they are able then to see, how do we actually do this activity? How does this work for my family? And like I said, it can be, a short 15 to 20 minutes and be like, you know what? We're going to sit down and we're going to do this letter game, or we're going to sing this song while we're on our way to the store. It's really
Right.
about including our activities throughout our day. And it doesn't have to always be sit down and do the activity.
You're making learning fun.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
learning, but they don't even know they're learning. They think they're
Yes.
just playing games and doing other things, which is so important.
Exactly.
So you have this Facebook group that you go live in. So how did you decide I want to be a podcast host? Where did that come from?
So I don't really know. Like, it was kind of something that was like, okay, this is the next step of your business,
It's
right? Like,
progression.
yes. And I had a lot of people saying, like, if you have a business, you should probably have a podcast. And I was already going live. I was already
Mhm.
recording the content. And originally, my show started much like a TV show. I was going live in my Facebook group. I have things on my YouTube channel, and I was doing the content just live. And I had a lot of different business coaches, and they said, you should really start a podcast. And I couldn't do it. I just had too many things going on,
Sure.
and I had to like kind of keep putting it on the back burner. But I had this amazing podcast coach that I'm working with currently. And last year she was like, she has a course, and it's idea to podcast, idea to launch. And you literally, in the 6 weeks that you work with them, they set everything up and it was ready to go. Well,
Nice.
that was January last year. And I should have launched my podcast in March, but
Things happen.
I knew it wasn't the right time. So we finally get to, through a whole nother year, and it was like, now is the time. And I just love being able to put the content out there for people to be able to listen to and hear. And it does also go to the YouTube channel. So there is also that show aspect for me, but then also the opportunity to be able to get the content out there for families.
Right. And the podcast is called Educating Kids and Connecting Families.
That's correct.
That's correct. So I like how you said it wasn't the right time last year, because I think you're saying it's okay to say I need to put some on the back burner. This isn't the
Yes.
time to do things now. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's something that we need to keep in mind. Sometimes it's not the right time for us, and we set our goals. We all do it. We set our goals. This year I want to do these 3 things,
Yep.
and we're like, it's not the right time. I need to get this done. But it's okay to say it's not the right time. Let's
Yeah.
put that on the back burner and start again next year.
It's so true. And I feel like, honestly, it's when it is the right time, it's so much better.
It's so much better, and I think you feel it too.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
experiencing that too. I was getting ready to start a massive project, and it's just I have other things. It's just not the right time right now.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to put it off for a couple months. It's not. It just feels. You get that feeling that it's not the right time.
Right. It's like almost a heavy feeling. And when we're doing things, it should be just like my kids, right? It should be fun.
It
And
should
I
be
know
fun.
life, we do have daunting tasks and we have our must do's and our things to do. But if we are doing things that light us up, we should be having fun with it.
Yes.
And when it does get that heavy feeling, you're right. It is okay to say, you know what? We're going to put this on hold and we're going to focus on this task instead. For me, it was like some things needed to fall into place first,
Right.
or maybe it's not the right season with your family or, with other things that you have going on, and knowing that, you know what? It's okay. When it's time, it's going to go.
So, Christine, the question I'm going to ask you, probably everyone watching this show is thinking, how do you balance it all? Like, how do you balance? And I'm wondering to myself, I didn't have kids. I'm thinking, how do you do it all? How do you balance, being a mother, being an entrepreneur, being a podcast host, taking care of your family, your home? How do you do all this? How do you
It
balance it all?
it is a lot. So, and it's so funny because we often think when we do have kids, we're like, what did we do with our time before we had kids, you know? And so I definitely think that sometimes I'm like, I'm busy now. Like, why did I think I was busy then? But we are. Life is busy, you know? And for me, what it really has come down to, I worked with a lot of great coaches on setting up those boundaries on what is important. And like my kids, I homeschool them. So in the mornings, that is my homeschool time. And I don't take calls, I don't have meetings. I don't schedule things because when I was doing that, I was not giving them the correct
Pay
attention
attention.
that I wanted to give them, and I wasn't doing my business tasks the way that I felt like they needed to be done, or housework was getting, behind, different things like that. So I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I am able to get a couple hours in before the kids. And that looks like a few different things. That could be my devotions, that could be my workout, that could be my shower, that could be an hour of work, but it's my time before everyone else wakes up. And really then blocking out that time. I have a ton of schedules, I have a ton of planners, I have a lot of things that really are like, okay, this is what needs done at this time. And sometimes it doesn't get done. Sometimes it has to roll to the next day.
That's not the end of the world.
Right. Knowing that, what, laundry is a daunting task, right?
Right.
But when I realized that it's going to be there all the time, we're never going to be done with it. So it's like when you get that in your head and it's like, all right, I do a load a day,
Yep.
just trying to keep up, or my business, I'm just going to work a little bit on this task because those small moments are
Right.
really what make the big difference. And it's taken me a while to learn that,
Well, as
but
women, we beat ourselves up.
yes,
We do.
yes,
We beat ourselves up like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get this done. I'm such a horrible mother. I'm such a horrible, housewife. This isn't done. We just really take it to heart and beat ourselves up. And it's okay to push it to the next day if you need to.
it's so true. I actually wrote a post about that the other day because I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I had all of these things on my list and I did not get them done.
Right.
So
You
I'm
feel
like, going,
inadequate.
right. So then I look back at my day and I made a list of what I did get done. And it was like, first of all, I homeschooled my kids. That's a task in itself. I
Yeah.
fed them, they're alive. So that's a good
Or
thing.
monkeys.
Right. And then it's like, well, what else did we do? Well, you did some laundry or you had a phone call or you recorded a podcast. There are these little things that you do that really do make a big difference in the day instead of looking at what you didn't do.
I love that. Make a list. Don't beat yourself up about what you didn't do. Make the list of things you did do.
Mhm.
Is it? I
Definitely.
know I'm guilty myself. It'll be the end of the day. It'll be 10 o'clock at night. And where did the day go? Like, what
Yeah.
did I do today? Like, I want to do these things. And okay, well, I worked all day and I did this and I did this. And now it's 10 o'clock. Now it's time to sleep. So it's so important to say, like, what did I do? Because you'd
Yes.
be surprised at things that you do,
Right.
or
And
surprised at things that you had time to do, but maybe you were on Facebook all day or watching
right.
TV or something. Because we don't realize how we waste time too sometimes.
Yes. And
There's
that's the
definitely
other
some
thing,
time
just
sucks in
bringing
there.
awareness to that even
Right.
of like what and like changing um that mindset of like positive thinking of what did I do instead of what didn't I do? You know, and then really looking at our time wasters in our day. I know for me, I was a scroller and there's still
Oh,
times that I zone out and I scroll, but it's like, okay, are you going to set a timer for yourself? Are
yeah.
you going to look at the time and say, okay, I'm only giving myself 5 minutes to scroll and that's it?
We all
So
need
there,
decompress time. And I think that's what it is.
yes, it's
But
so
it's so
true.
we don't realize how long it lasts sometimes. A couple
Yes.
minutes scroll could be an hour and a half, because then you're
Yes.
reading posts, and you're looking at things, and you're scrolling and scrolling, and
Yeah, it's so true. You could definitely fall into that scrolling rabbit hole for sure. But yeah, just taking little breaks and little time. The other thing is like setting the day up. And this is something I definitely want to start incorporating more into our day where it's those little breaks throughout the day. So then that way you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I sat at my desk all day and what did I do? Well, you're re-energizing yourself,
Right.
by giving yourself a break, a movement break, or get outside and take a walk, or go get a snack, or, different things like that to be able to keep energizing yourself so you do keep moving forward.
Any final thoughts?
I just want
I
to
mean, you gave
say,
so much information, so many great tips, and I think inspiration. And yeah, I'm just
oh,
excited to
thank
see
you.
where you're going to go next. What's
Yes,
next for you?
thank you so much. Well, we're going to continue to develop the curriculum. We're going to keep educating kids all over the world. Right now, we have live groups in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Augusta, Georgia.
Mhm.
So we are excited to be able to have those, and those are called Momspiration 412 Pittsburgh and Momspiration 412 Augusta. And if you're not in either of those groups, feel free to join us in the Educating Kids and Connecting Families group, and that's all on Facebook. And also, I'm on Instagram. So many ways to get connected and really just find activities and ideas for your kids because I'm all about sharing different activities that you could do to engage and interact with your kids.
Thank you so much for being here today, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me, Denise.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I want to thank my guest, Christine Furman. Wow, what amazing information that she gave. She's so inspiring and empowering. How she can balance a business, children, homeschooling, and everything else that she has going on. It can be done. And Christine gave us ways that she does it. I hope Christine's story inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
It's gonna